Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome to our Tactical Tuesday live stream. Don't worry, Emery, I'm gonna get you in here. Emery's like, Carl, you're leaving me out. Come snuggle. All right. All right. I'll give you a little more love. Now move over. Move the fuck over. All right, guys. Welcome to our Tactical Tuesday live stream. We are here in the glorious town of Cadiz, Kentucky.
Magical.
And magical town. We've had a great day. We've been out filming TR videos. We got us a great sponsor tonight, LAS Concealment. If you guys are looking for a new EDC holster, LAS Concealment, great stuff indeed. They got a bunch of different ones, the Rampart and the Ronin 3.0 is my favorite, but they got the Shogun. I know different types outside the waistband, inside the waistband, this, that, and the other. You can get them light bearing. You can get them cut for optics. The cool part is you can pick like 30 or 40 different kinds of kydex as far as designs and stuff. Color really don't matter to me too much because I run it inside the waistband holster. But my personal favorite, the Ronin 3.0. You can have it so it hinges in the middle with that little pocket to hold that EDC spare magazine. And right on the front, appendix carry. It's one of the most comfortable holsters you'll find. Again, if you're interested, check them out at lasconcealment.com.
You know, I like carrying those under my spare tire. With the spare, you were saying the spare magazine? Right under the spare tire. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. I'll drink to that. All right.
Wow.
Oh.
It's been a long day.
So, if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, we had a guy from 5th Group come in from KRG. They make chassis for sniper rifles.
Oh, okay.
Awesome stuff. Anyways, he brought some of this Belgian beer, and it was glorious. But the cool part is Jamie Gap, who's in the chat, he brought me a 4-pack. It comes in 4-pack, not 6-packs because it's metric. And I don't think anybody could afford a 6-pack.
They don't do even numbers like 6. They do odd numbers like 4. Wait a minute.
All right, guys. So, anyways, good stuff indeed. Like I said, we've been working on TR videos all day long. Yeah, we've had a bunch of good stuff. We filmed some 8.6 Gorilla ammo, 8.6 Blackout made by Gorilla Ammo. This rifle has got a 1 in 3 inch twist. So every 3 inches of barrel, the bullet does a complete revolution. They actually have another barrel that is a 1 in 1 twist. So for every, now remember the projectile is longer than an inch, by the way. It's a 338 Lapua projectile in a 6.5 Creedmoor casing. So every inch that it travels down the barrel, it does a complete 360. And like, there's no way.
How does the barrel not come apart?
No, well, it's not just the barrel life being non-existent. It's that's basically like a cheese grater. It's just stripping copper off of your projectile to the point to where they can't use copper jacketed lead bullets. They have to use ones that are milled. So I'm like, so what's your barrel life? And the guy goes, I don't know. I'm like, all right, but you're the maker. I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll go with the 1 in 3 twist. And it was amazing. It shoots insanely accurate at 200 meters. And that's what the U.S. Socom requirement was, that even the subsonic ammo had to be sub-MOA within 200 meters. And at 100 meters, we did grouping drills. And anyway, super accurate. But the cool part is shooting the gel blocks. We did that again today. And the subsonic round is pre-cut. It's like a 300 grain projectile, but it is pre-cut to have 4 separate 44 grain petals basically pop off. And show them the video. All right, guys, he'll show you the video. The slow-mo camera will have it better than Emery's, but all right.
See how it comes apart?
Yeah, zoom in. Let them see the the actual pedals. Anyways, guys, you can't zoom in on it.
Of course I can.
Yeah, he can zoom in. He'll show you, guys. 44 grain pedals. See all those dots? Those are all basically almost as big as your 5.56 projectile. It's kind of badass.
Totally badass. Questions already?
Post without unloaded all my evil tools. Okay, that's from Randy. Randy interrupting me on a live stream. Okay, that's fair. We got a couple questions from Miss Britcher already. No worries, she'll wait. But that's one of the videos we filmed. Another video. What was the other one we filmed?
The plates.
The plates. But before that, we filmed a quick shooting tip for my patrons. If you guys, as I know you guys love your free content, a lot of you bitch that our live streams suck, which, okay, it's still free for you. So bitch all you want. This is, I'm hanging out with the guys in the asylum. All right. The guys that love me. All right. So, this is free for you. So how do I keep this channel afloat? How I keep the channel afloat is because most of my YouTube videos get demonetized now. If you want to support our channel, go to patreon.com/Tactical Rifleman. And everybody basically, different tiers, you get different things. But beginning of every month, I do a quick shooting tip video that is not available to everyone else on the internet. That's why you guys didn't get it today. Only my patrons. And it's about 10, I think today's was like 10, 11, 12 minutes long. Good shooting tip, something that you won't find on the regular internet because nobody talks about a lot of this stuff because it's not sexy, but it's still important. Then next week I'm doing story time with Carl. I've got a couple different stories. I think I will talk about O.J. Bailey next week. He just passed away. He was a combo guy on my first A team. O.J. will be missed. Great guy, just out there freaking flapping. And then we do question and answer videos and Zoom live streams, all kinds. So anyways, for my patrons, if you didn't see it, I just posted it live a couple hours ago on Patreon. And that is this month's quick shooting tip. Kind of cool. I hope you guys enjoy it. This beer is good, dude.
Is it?
It really is.
Looks nice and dark.
You can almost chew that stuff. That is awesome. All right. Here's the deal, guys. Emery... You understand, he lives 2 states away. Well, 1 state away. He lives in Indiana, but you got to go through
all of
Louisville to get there, and then you jump across the border. So when I get Emery down, especially on a Tuesday, I want to have him on live stream. So if you guys got questions for Emery, let's hit him up. First one's from Mitchell Kuda. I've close to range 35. I live close to range 35. Any slots still open for class? What would I need? Tried figuring out on website, but techno challenge. What he's talking about, guys, is 21 and 22 October down in Texas, east of Dallas, right off of I-35.
West of Dallas.
You sure? I think it's east.
Pretty sure.
That's why you don't let him do land nav. All right. It's called Range 35. It's not hard to find. Just put it in Gaia GPS or Waze. You'll find it. 21, 22 October. That's only a couple weeks away. We are doing Gun Runner Pistol. 2-day course. And I know that the name of the course, it just doesn't make you moist and make you want to go out and get in gunfights. That's not the point of it.
Dallas?
Southwest. Well, we got to move that shit. All right. But the cool part about Gun Runner Pistol is it'll make... Because a lot of people don't know what they don't know. It'll make good pistol shooters better. It'll make a great pistol shooter into a IPSC Grandmaster. It really will. We say you can come as a beginner and it will make you a decent pistol shooter. Now, that's not true. You can't be a beginner shooter. You understand, we do not teach basic NRA courses. So before you go saying, hey, honey, I know you've never shot before, but I want to take this course, I'm going to bring you with it. No, not at all. Now, that said, if you don't have any bad habits, but you're confident with the firearm and you're safe with it, you understand the basic mechanics, how to load, stuff like that, the course will, please don't think you have to be a great shooter to attend this course. No, it will take a beginner or a new novice shooter, and it will make you a very good shooter. It'll take a good shooter, make you a great shooter. It's 2 days long. You're looking 300 to 500 rounds per day. We try to keep it at about 300 rounds. But again, Emory teaches it at the speed that the guys are learning it. You notice I mentioned Emory. I will be there. But this course, I am Emory's assistant instructor. He's going to be the lead instructor for this one. It's his course. Him and a couple other instructors have built it, and I love it. I want to take it as a student. But
I'd like to shoot. I'd like to shoot a class.
So anyways, if you're interested in taking, you need an outside the waistband holster, 3 magazines, and you need, like I said, 3 to 600 to 1,000 rounds of ammo.
Here's the deal. Sometimes we go over. Sometimes I can keep the round count low. I try to keep the round count low, but sometimes people are good, and we just keep going, we burn ammo. So
as far as save, you said you live close.
Bring 1,000.
So you can go home at night. But anybody else that's thinking about driving in for it, because I still have slots for the class left. Right now, it's kind of cool because it's 40% of the class is female.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, super awesome.
That's awesome.
Super awesome.
So again, please, if your wife wants to come, or you're a female who's thinking about going and taking a firearm class, but you're intimidated about being around all the other guys, this class is 40% female. The people that have signed up for it right now.
Yeah.
It's a good course, a very, very good course. To save money on lodging, there is this cowboy town that is 10 minutes away called Beaumont Ranch. And that's where we're going to be staying. They have a bunkhouse. I want to say it's like $43 a night. And, as opposed to $250 after taxes if you stay near Dallas at a normal hotel, Motel 6
Plus, it's
or
like
something.
It's this cute little
cowboy town.
It's really awesome.
And then the restaurants and everything are right there. It's a fun course. The cool part is it is right before we got 1 day off. Monday, and then Tuesday through Friday is our 4-day Patreon only course in Texas. Again, you have to be a patron to attend, but that class is gonna be awesome. We have got day 4. I've rented a Little Bird helicopter to do platform shooting, and we've got all kinds of. We've got Barrett 50 cals and full auto saw machine guns and M4s and AKs and SVDs. All kinds of. We're gonna have a bunch of great stuff, and there's other classes. It's not just shooting. We're gonna have medical. We're gonna have escapology, how to get out of handcuffs, lock picking. We're gonna do tomahawk and knife throwing, along with a bunch of other primitive weapons. It's always a fun time at the Patreon course. That's basically the Patreon course T-shirt. That's what the patrons are getting. Kind of sexy. Emory gets his early, but that's okay. Good stuff. But we're gonna have a good time. We are. We had a couple more dings come in. All right.
I saw something up there. That's not.
Guys, understand super chats turned on. If you want to throw down money for the preservation of Carl Erickson Foundation, I'm all about it. But again, you don't have to. If you just put a legitimate question in the chat room. We will, my moderators will get it to you. This is Pete from Hong Kong, threw down 10 Hong Kong dollars, which is like $3. Hi, Carl. Pete here. Is that T72 at the thumbnail? T72.
The thumbnail for this?
Thumbnail at the thumbnail. Is that T72 at the thumbnail?
Let me look.
I don't know what thumbnail Nick put down.
No, that's not a T72.
Yeah, that is a I can't really see it.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
I think it's an MT84, guys. MT84 is the export version of a T7.
God Damn it.
Emery keeps trying to pull it up for me.
I can't do phones. I suck at this.
Yep. Without further ado, Tactical Rifleman, were you guys ever around a Phalanx gun on the battlefield?
Yep.
Actually, yeah. If those of you that don't know what a Phalanx is, if you've all seen the movie Battleship with the aliens and everything, it's the easiest reference for you modern people. But when they first roll up on first float up on the aliens, even though they're high tech enough to go from planet to planet, they don't have any cool guns. They basically lob trash cans filled with explosives that spin through the air and land. Okay, fine, whatever. But the Navy ships on them have a 20 millimeter Gatling gun. That has two separate radar dishes in it. One is to acquire, the other one is to lock and track. And the Phalanx, that's what it's called. It is designed to basically put up a wall of lead. These 20 millimeter projectiles are actually fused.
It's actually depleted uranium core.
Yeah, but they are still fused, so they'll only go so far and then they disintegrate. And the reason why they do that is if you miss the incoming missile or mortar round or rocket, that way they're not all landing out in the middle of Sadr City or Baghdad. So if they miss, they once they go so far, they are fused to all of them blow up and they just rain harmless low velocity fragments all over downtown Baghdad. The reason why I say downtown Baghdad is almost all of our military bases overseas, the big bases, once Big Army and the Air Force moves in, even though my first time seeing them were on Navy and Marine ships, the Phalanx system was actually loaded onto flatbed trucks and they would park them on these bases. Your counter battery radar, your Foxfire systems, whatever they call them now, they would immediately track an incoming, something as small as a 60 millimeter mortar round. It's small, basically that big, guys. It would pick that thing up on radar and it would immediately turn guns on this thing. And so spending the night on Balad Air Base, which is up northern Iraq, you get mortar rounds lobbed at you, and I'm staying in. It's called a chew. It's a type of building made out of plywood that the Navy Seabees would make. No protection at all, and all of a sudden you'd hear those Phalanx guns just open up. And you're like, ooh, man, I hope something blows up, because if it doesn't, it means they missed. Mm-hmm. And I never died. Fast forward, when I first pinned on Sergeant Major, I was staying at Camp Liberty, which is on one side of the Baghdad International Airport. Task Force Raptor, where my unit stayed, is basically on the other side. But I was working in the Baghdad Intel Fusion Cell, TS computers and all that stuff. Had to work there for a couple months, so I'm there on a base where everybody around me, there are reps from all these conventional Army units, and which was weird because they were all like majors and captains and colonels, and I'm a Green Beret Sergeant Major who just don't give a shit. So they try to pull rank, and I'd be like, yeah, we'll see how that works out for you. And I turn around, they'd be in mid-sentence, and I'd just turn and walk away. But back to the Phalanx, they had what was called Radio Hill. It was a hill right next to the airport, and that's where all the radio antennas were on. But afternoon, I always woke up about 3 p.m., I'd go work out, go to the gym. I'd do dinner about 6 or 7 o'clock, and then I'd start the night shift, because that's when my unit did ops. But I'd be out doing my run in my little PT shorts with my pistol.
With your little sash?
Actually, no. I wouldn't wear it. I took a lot of ass chewings for that. I'm like, look, if I get hit because I'm not wearing that PT belt, I deserve to get hit. I'm just saying. So anyways, I'd run sprints up and down Radio Hill. And one time I was up at the top of the hill, I just happened to be standing right next to one of these Phalanx trailers, and I'm like stretching out, and and all of a sudden the trailer starts. I mean, the gun like yanks like 20 degrees, and then it goes this way 20 degrees, and then the barrel turns, and it's just something weird about getting flagged by a 20 millimeter Gatling gun that makes you decide, I think I'm going to stretch out.
Wait, are you trying to
say a couple 100 more feet down the hill?
Are you trying to say that you ran so fast the Phalanx thought you were a mortar?
No, I was standing still, but all of a sudden and I don't know if it was some Air Force kid sitting in his little control room or something say, hey, let's mess with this Army guy. I don't know. But I just know when this gun starts kind of jerking around like it's not sure if it should be shooting right now. I've been around phalanxes. Phalanxes are very, very awesome. We only had a couple. My whole time I was there, I think we had one rocket end up hitting the base, and they actually replayed back the video of the Phalanx tracking it. And they're like, yep, the Phalanx tracked it the whole way. And the general was like, well, why didn't it shoot? Well, they had it on the wrong setting. It was just on. And I'm like, really? So human error. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, but at least not killed. I don't remember.
Yeah,
they are awesome.
I've been around them a bunch, actually.
Phalanxes are awesome.
I've gotten to be around them in a naval setting. So I was on some missile ships. I got to do some training exercises with them, which in Israel, there's a naval exercise. Once a year they do it called Learjet. And what they do...
Yeah, I heard about that.
They cool. Rent a Learjet, a private Learjet.
What country's the guy? He's like...
The guy lives in Turkey.
Turkey. I was just going to say Turkey. Why? Because only somebody in Turkey needs money that bad.
Super rich guy, right? So they take this Learjet, whatever model, I have no idea, and I've been on one of these exercises. So they literally tie a giant fiberglass missile to the back of this thing.
Picture towing a glider in World War II.
Exactly.
Except you're towing a plastic missile.
Exactly. Fiberglass missile, big orange thing. And then, so they have a setting on the Phalanx where Sea Whiz is what they call it in the Navy.
Yeah.
And so they have a setting on it where like it'll track, kind of like what you were saying, but it won't arm itself yet. And so the jet goes into this dive at the endangering angle and speed for this gun. It locks on, and then it releases the cable. The plane takes off, and the missile's coming at the boat. And this thing every time without fail takes the missile out of the sky.
Now see, that's some Israeli ass shit. That's some ghetto shit right there. It works.
Dude. That's some high stakes training.
The Air Force, they've got some sexy drones. They are drone targets. Jet engines on them. They're gray. Believe it or not, at the beginning of the initial invasion of Iraq, they actually flew some of these things from Kuwait, and they're nothing but drone targets. So once you launch them, they're no more good. They actually launched them and had them fly across Iraq so that all Saddam's forces would turn on all their radar dishes, because our Air Force wasn't sure where all his radars were. So as soon as the one radar that was turned on picked up this thing, everybody else went, oh shit, and they all turned on there, and it mapped all of Iraq. I thought it was a great idea. I'm sure it was an E6 and the Air Force that came up with it. Funny stuff.
I just thought of this. Another Phalanx story.
Okay.
I wasn't there for this, but I got to watch the first-hand footage, thermal footage from another boat. There was a terrorist that got over through the border, I think up from Lebanon, on a jet ski.
I'm proud of you, dude, because you've been saying terrorist.
What did I say?
No, when I first met you...
because I did say terrorist.
You did say terrorist. You did good. That's not what he would say when I first met Emery, but he's doing better. We rounded off...
I used to say bad guy.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so go on.
Anyway,
terrorist on a jet ski.
Terrorist on a jet ski.
Not wearing a shirt, just...
that I don't know. It was thermal.
Bathing suit, gold, right? Little rental on the side of the jet ski.
Yeah. Well, so he made it down, and he was like, I don't know, somewhere south of the border.
Getting ready to attack the Navy boat on a jet ski.
No. I think his plan was actually the beach and then do a terrorist attack in the city in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
And so he made it just past the border and the ship, and you can see I watched the ship's footage on that ship. And you can see it tracking. It's got the little crosshair right on his face. And then you hear the commander on the radio like, okay, green light, take him out. And all you hear is like a and you hear
that's 50 rounds, dude. That's 50 rounds. Yeah. That's 50 rounds.
Listening to this thing I was in the forecastle, in the bow of a ship underneath, while this thing was shooting. Not that day, a different day, and it sounds like the bassiest Mexican food fart ever.
Okay.
Like a lot of beans, but it's bassy and it's deep, and the entire ship hull's just.
So, note to self, crazy. Guys, don't ever rent a jet ski in Israel. Oh my God! Who's that? Because they're half asleep, and you go past some line that's in the water you don't even see, and all of a sudden they go, "Oh shit! What's that? Oh my God! He's wearing a shirt. It must be a suicide vest."
This was a verified bad guy.
Verified bad guy.
Yes.
That's so awesome, and I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was back. We actually got one here from Jerry J.
Jerry. I haven't heard from Jerry in years.
This Jerry got smiley face crying. He doesn't put it in his shit anymore. You're breaking my heart. All right, so we got Jerry accent. Carl, can you talk about Blue Light Task Force from your unit? ? Smiley face crying. You guys have seen, it's not this logo, but I based my logo off of, let's see if I have one of my company coins here. I know I have a company coin in my wallet, so I don't get coin. My old unit, guys, if you ever see, that's you guys recognize the logo now, right? A15, but you see the skull in the middle? The cross arrows are because they were Green Berets, okay? The skull in the middle, that was actually supposed to be goggles with a Protec helmet with a 70s porn stash. Seriously, it's a heart attack. That is by the guy that actually drew the original drawing. He was one of the original Project Blue Light guys back in the 70s. So anyways, if you go back to where all these different airplane hijackings and everything, the United States decided that they needed to come up with a terrorist direct action hostage rescue task force, and that hence the birth of Delta. Right, so they draw it all out on paper. It gets funded by Congress. Now, U.S. Army unit. Now they have to hold selection, and then they have to train the first train and equip the first squadron of Delta operators. That takes time, guys. Just selection takes time, putting it all together, everything. So while Delta was first being stood up, that mission was already approved. You must fill it right now. The mission was given to a company of Green Berets from 5th Group at Smoke Bomb Hill. Back then, like right now, 7th Group is down at Eglin Air Force Base, and 5th Group is at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. But back then, they were on Fort Bragg. And basically that company out on Smoke Bomb Hill, which doesn't even exist anymore, all those old World War II buildings are gone. They were tasked with filling the hostage rescue mission until Delta officially got blessed off as being ready. So they're like, you're it. So they were like, okay, snap. So they got money thrown at them, and they started training. This one company got the mission, and they basically made this stuff up as they went along. You need to be able to do hostage rescue. Okay, we've done urban fighting. But they started working CQB and hostage rescue and mechanical breaching and explosive breaching and everything. And that first logo was actually done up to be on a guidon and basically to be embroidered onto a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, black sweatshirt. So they never saw combat. But they were blessed off, and they held the hostage rescue mission until Delta was stood up.
They never saw combat as that unit.
The
guys had.
Yeah, the guys had. A lot of old Vietnam vets, stuff like that. But they were trying stuff out. They're the ones that first started running the old Nike assault boots, black Nomex uniforms, black kit, night vision goggles, taking hose clamps and putting the big Maglite flashlights on the side of their Car 15s. There was a time where they took the safeties off of their 1911 pistols to make their draws faster. All right, and and you hear me, if you ever attend my classes, you hear me when I start talking about the rules of firearm safety, and I talk about, keep the weapon on safe, finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, until you have a threat that warrants deadly force. And there's all these people that say, well, this is my trigger finger, that's my safety. Now, guys, everybody's seen the movie Black Hawk Down, all right? And I'm not saying there wasn't a Delta guy that said that back then, but everyone who's anyone uses a selector lever, and if your firearm has a safety on it, you need to be using it. Why did the Project Blue Light guys put the safeties back onto their 1911s? They put them back on. Why did they do that? Because Americans got shot in shoot houses in training. Americans died in training. You have enough accidental discharges, you put those safeties back on. Safety's there for a reason on a 1911. It is a single action pistol. There is absolutely no reason, but the argument was, well, it has a grip safety. It has this, it has that. This is my safety. Not good enough in combat. Right? Yeah. So use your safeties. But yeah, Project Blue Light is, we trace the lineage for all the different SIF companies now, the CRIF companies, or your hard target defeat companies, whatever you want to call them. And they are getting back into the whole hostage rescue end of it and everything. Delta, well, they technically were being stood up separate. That is, Project Blue Light is still part of that initial appropriation by Congress.
Part of the problem, too, back then was to whom the units belonged.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So Blue Light belonged to Socom. Delta did not, right? Delta essentially answers to the presidential office, correct? Ish. DOD, whatever it was.
Where they really ran into the problems of not having one command and control was the Iranian hostage crisis. Everybody has heard of Desert One. And the aviators, okay, basically your C-130s, but also your CH-53 helicopters, they belong to the Air Force, and there was very little communication. And even though the Rangers had already put forward a FARP and the Delta operators were ready to go, you had a C-130 collide with a helicopter, and they ended up having to scrub the whole mission. And that was actually the reason for the birth of what used to be Task Force 160th, the black helicopters at Fort Campbell. And later on, they went from being Task Force 160th, they became 160th SOAR, which stands SOAR, Special Operations Aviation Regiment. And Task Force 160, again, their headquarters and one of their battalions is right here near me. They've got other units across the U.S., but everything, Little Bird helicopters, your Blackhawks, your MH-47s, they actually have drones now. They actually run Predator drones because the varsity team was tired of having to borrow birds from Langley. And from the Air Force, I think we'll have our own. Thank you very much. There's lots of other stuff.
It's nice having a budget.
Nice having a budget. But there are, when you say a Tier 1 unit versus a Tier 2 unit, Tier 2 unit just means that your job is to support the Tier 1 units. And that's just about everything. So there are out there nuclear, biological, chemical response units that are Tier 1 and Tier 2 also, and lots of different slices of different combat support, what we call force multipliers that are out there. And like Emery said, the budget is budgets are important, and it's not just about, well, they're hot, they're just, they think they're special so they get more money. No, having hey, you've got to go right now, 2 hours, you've got to be wheels up, that level of response, and knowing that you have it in writing, you have to be the best on the planet. You literally have to be the best on the planet. That in turn gives you certain requirements, and you can't shoot once a quarter and expect to be the best on the planet. You have to shoot 3,000 rounds a week. You have got to be the master of that firearm, all those firearms. So, and that costs money. That level of training costs money. It really does. Yeah, without a doubt. We were talking earlier today about the Spetsnaz. If you go all over the internet and you can watch the videos of the Spetsnaz, and they're big muscle bound, the big muscle bound guys, and there's videos of these guys. I mean, they've got their rifle and their pistol and everything, but they'll pull up that shovel and they'll throw that shovel, and that shovel will stick right into a target, and everybody's like, damn, dude, these son of a guns are awesome. And dude, he just did that with a freaking shovel. Can you imagine what he does with his rifle? How do you get that big? All right, it's because you don't have any time to train. You don't have any money to train, so all you do is sit around and pump iron. How do you get that good throwing a shovel? It's because you don't have any money for ammo. You don't have any money for ammo. Your average Army military policeman shoots more rounds a year than the Spetsnaz do. And I hate to embarrass my former Soviet Union buddies out there, but the reality is, and I'm not even saying that Green Beret.
They are good at what they do.
Yeah.
They are good at what they do.
I'm not saying that Green Berets shoot more ammo. That's a given, but. Yeah, they don't get much live ammo, guys. They really don't. When you hear about, Russians...
I bet they do right now.
Yeah, no shortage of ammo right now, right? Anyways, funny stuff. That's a little bit of history about Project Blue Light, if you guys haven't heard. Yeah, but again, that broke... it went from there once Delta was split up. It eventually went to every Special Forces group has one company that is the dedicated hostage rescue or your direct action company. All right, Susan is saying I'm falling behind. That's good, though. It means we've got good questions tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Next one right here. This is from Ghost Enemy. Do people who take the course get a hug from you, Carl? LOL.
Well, good luck on that one.
Yeah. You understand, our courses are pretty well a hug-free zone. All right. If my wife shows up at class to say hi and visit, my wife will probably get a hug from me. But it's a hug. You'll get a handshake from me when I hand you your graduation certificate, and you get class shirts. But Emery will hug you. Wick will hug you. Randy will definitely hug you.
Is
Randy might cut you. Randy might cut you, but Randy is a hugger.
Is Randy going to be there for this? Or is he coming in later?
Class. Depends which
no,
class.
We're talking about the
no,
gun
he will
runner.
not. He will not be there for Tank Dank 2116. Man, your mom named you weird as shit. Hey Carl. How do you take an AR-15 castle nut off without the correct tool?
Easy.
Yeah, I always have the correct tool.
Piece of leather.
What's that?
Piece of leather and a pipe wrench.
Yeah, I was going to say a strap wrench. You can go down to O'Reilly Auto Parts store and get a heavy-duty strap wrench, and that works just fine.
Or if you have a pipe wrench at your house, you take a nice thick piece of leather and you wrap it on the inside of the teeth of the pipe wrench and go gentle, and that won't mar up your parts.
But honestly, dude, if one, it's an excuse for you to tell the wife, hey, I need to buy a barrel wrench, one, because you can get the barrel wrench that's got all the other cuts and slots in it, so it's multi-use. One, but you can also go to just about every gun store that has an armorer there and just walk in and say, hey man, I know you got the wrench behind the counter. Will you just help me loosen this up? And they will never tell you no. They're never going to say, well, I'm going to charge you $20. They're not going to do that.
If you don't want to go buy the full AR barrel wrench, there's a cheaper option. You can get just the head piece that fits around your piece there, and it's got a square hole in it that you can stick a ratchet handle into.
That's what I use, and honestly, it's your half-inch socket head, but I use it because that's what I put my torque wrench on. Right? It's important to torque these things. Right? What me worry, Carl or Emery, are laser aiming modules mounted on the side of the rails good to go. Also, what's your guys' take on 6mm arc?
Who's that, Jerry?
No,
that's Jerry. Yeah, look, that's
What
Jerry.
Me Worry. What Me
Oh,
Worry.
that's the name of the guy?
Yeah,
okay.
It's What Me Worry.
What? Me Worry? Okay.
All right. Aiming lasers on the sides of your gun. I hope, honest, you don't need visible lasers. All right. You need to be aiming with your optics. All right. Now, if you're talking IR lasers because you run nods and it's hard to get your nods down to look through because you don't do this full time for a living, then yeah, running your IR, and actually we cover all the different ways to zero it and everything. We cover that in our low light, no light shooting course. We're going to actually offer that course twice in fiscal year 2024. All right. The other question, my opinion of the 6mm arc.
Hold on. Before you go to that, I don't think that was the question.
Yes, it was.
I think the question was running it on the side of the gun.
It doesn't matter. You can't mount it above. It would be better if it was in line with the axis of the barrel. Okay, but understand mounting it above. Now that's where your hand is. All right, mounting it below. Well, you understand if you're benching off of.
Well, but we do. A lot of people mount it over top, right? And if you have room and if you make it comfortable, cool, it's preferable because it's still that laser beam is still offset from your barrel,
so that it clears your fixed front sight post.
Right, but not that much. If you mount it on the side,
it is
right,
off.
Which is fine. It's legit, but you have to understand that zeroing it in, it's sitting further off to the side of your barrel than it would have been if it were on top. And so if that's the case, you need to know what your offset is at different distances. And that's the downside of using it on the side. CQB rating distances, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
No.
6.5 arc.
6mm arc.
6mm.
Hey guys, I understand they're accurate, and it's more accurate than a 6.5 Grendel, which was the latest hotness for all the competition shooters. 6.5 Grendel. Awesome, very, very accurate. Back in the day, 20 years ago, the 6.5 Grendel was the cat's meow. The problem with the 6.5 Grendel is the base of the casing. You have to mill out too much of your AR bolt face, and it makes the face of the bolt weak. And that's why that's why it never went to combat guns. As far as the 6mm arc, it's why when you can just run an AR-10 that is a 6.5 Creedmoor and you're getting more range. Or if you like these, and I prefer the 6mm projectile, same weight as a 6.5 Creedmoor, but a 6mm Creedmoor, same weight, but it's a longer projectile. The longer projectile, more drag on the inside of your barrel, you get less barrel life. My personal, I don't own a 6mm arc. I actually know old Green Beret buddy of mine that's what he does. He works with this particular ammo company, just tweaking and trying to master the 6 arc. I got that, but it's not for me. It's here, guys, but it's going to be gone. It's not going to be here forever. It's just not. I wouldn't turn down another caliber for it. 5 Stone.
Hey, Eric.
How you doing, brother?
What's up, man?
Thank you for the coffee. Indeed, I just finished up that big bag of coffee beans you sent me, which is okay because God loves me, and my brother-in-law went to some fireman charity or something, and he came back with 2 1-pound bags of their roasted beans. So I'm good for a little bit. Guys, if you're not familiar with Five Stone Coffee, Eric is totally badass, and he always takes real good care of us. You go to fivestone.com, fivestonefrontline.com, I think it's fivestonefrontline.com. Eric, put your website in the chat room. Guys, if you use TR10, it saves you 10% off his coffee, and his coffee is awesome. It's not an affiliate code. I do not make a dime off of Eric. Eric is good people, and it's for a good Eric uses that money for ministries, so I don't want
FiveStoneUSA.com.
Is that what it is?
Thank you, Donut.
I didn't think that's what it was.
Oh, that's what Donut wrote.
Okay, that's all right. We did that one. All right, Five Stone. Carlin Emery. Any pros and cons with sat phone versus sat radio? All right. Here's the deal. If you're using a sat radio, all right, one, you're gonna have to pay a subscription to allow you to stay and use civilian sat radio satellites, all right? But you're also only gonna be able to talk to other people that have sat radios, right? That's just the truth. Here's the advantage of a sat phone, and there are different ones. Thoriya, I actually lent mine to one of my patrons. Mike has it, because he's been traveling overseas. Mine is a company called Iridium, and it has the collapsible antenna. You guys have seen the Iridium phone if you saw the movie Lone Survivor. The SEALs brought it up on the mountain with them, just like my sniper team in Afghanistan months before them did the same thing. I would carry, we never had to use it because it's part of our PACE plan, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. But when I got out, and you understand, I still travel the world, still do whatever, there are times to have a sat phone. What a sat phone does for you, it still uses, you still pay a subscription, all right? You'll get so many minutes a year as an emergency. She brought him half a margarita.
You're awesome.
Yay! But that sat phone is going up to a satellite, but it does not have to go only to other sat phones or other sat radios. It comes back down to cell phone towers. So basically, you can call anybody that has a cell phone. The advantage of having it is you can be out on the Serengeti, right? Eric, for example, just went and did a mission trip overseas. We'll bring it, like when we go to Moab and out in the mountains or wherever. My old business partner took his Iridium when he went down to Haiti after it wasn't Haiti, it was Puerto Rico after the big hurricane down there, because it knocked out every cell tower. It allowed him to still have communications with the rest of the world. So me personally, for you guys, I would push you towards a sat phone if you have the requirement. All right. Now I don't have it here. Yes, I do. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. All right, but what about Operation Valkyrie, Paul? What about when you're out riding around in your Jeep? It's not here. It's probably in the Jeep right now. I'm looking for a Ziploc bag. It is not here. Guys, I use what's called a Spot X, and Garmin has one also. It still runs off of those same satellites, but it allows you to send text. You can't talk voice, but it still allows you to text to any cell phone on the planet.
Nobody has phone conversations anymore.
Anyway. So the reason why that's what I use is because, like he said, one, I don't want to talk to anybody. I can send my wife a text, hey, we're still good to go, miss you, love you, signed Carl. And it is so much cheaper than you trying to buy minutes on a Iridium cell phone. So good stuff. I hope I answered your question good enough. All right. Wow, man, we are falling way behind. All right, Paul American. Question for both of you. Would you rather be fighting a low-tech or a high-tech war, tech being roughly the same on both sides? I never fight fair,
question.
dude. No, never fight fair. The hell with that. I want to fight a low-tech caveman. All right, it's like if you had to pick a fight, it's like, man, all right, your martial arts instructor's with you out in the bar. In my case, it was my platoon sergeant, and he goes, Mangler, come here, Mangler. You see that guy over there near the pool table? Go pick a fight with him. Yes, Sergeant. And Mangler would go over and pick a fight with him. Well, we were using the skills we had just done doing hand-to-hand that day. Right? So, again, never try to fight a
but hold on,
tech equal enemy.
There's more behind this question, though, because I think on a personal level, on a soldier level, you definitely want to be on the high-tech side, because what the high-tech side gives you is some insulation to a degree from the battlefield, if that makes sense.
Air superiority.
Exactly. Air superiority, night vision when they don't have it, and thermal and blah, 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 and radars and all that. But on a larger scale, on a whole military, actually a very high-tech military fighting a very, very low-tech opponent actually makes it more difficult, because it makes a lot of aspects of location difficult. Right, so that's why guerrilla warfare is very difficult, even for a modern army.
Warfare is the only choice that they have. They can't fight you a conventional war, all right? But then you get into asymmetric warfare.
Exactly.
Every time they do something, we find a counter to it, and then they change to counter our counter, and then we have to come up with something else. It's called asymmetric warfare. The Gus Stash 2531's back. He threw down $20, man. Sir, at work yesterday, a 10-year-old kid absolutely broke his arm between his wrist and elbow. During his screaming and yelling, he would stop, and his breathing seemed to slow. Do I have to worry about shock for such an injury? Not on a forearm. You cannot lose enough blood in the forearm for you to go into hypovolemic shock. What I mean by that are different kinds of shock. Neurogenic shock. All your vessels just go and they all dilate, and because of an infection, and basically, or septic shock, right? Neurogenic shock, you basically cut something and that tells everything to just quit working, all right? But as far as hypovolemic shock, loss of blood, nada. The worst that would happen to him is what happened is he's screaming and everything is he started hyperventilating. Probably what happened. As long as a kid's screaming, he's got a good airway. That's honest. Don't let screaming bother you. Worry about the guy right next to him that also got blown up. That's not screaming. The one that's screaming, he's not the one I'm worried about. I'm worried about the other guy. All right. So this kid, honest, you said forearm, all right, so that's basically a foosh, fall on stretched out arm, all right, where it snaps, and a lot of times it'll go off to the side, left or right, depending on how it is. He broke both bones. It's treated the same as breaking a single bone, multiple breaks or single break. It really doesn't matter. Check the pulse, and so long as the pulse is present, splint it as is. Don't try to manipulate it. If you check the pulse and there is no pulse, you check and there's no pulse. What has happened is those bones are kinking the blood vessels. Maybe not cutting them, but they're kinking them. The bones have gone like this, and they are clamping off the vessels. And that would be when you would manipulate. You'd actually apply traction, and you'd straighten the bones out to the point to where you find a pulse. Once you find a pulse, split it in place. You want to take like a rolled up pair of socks or an ace wrap or something, put it in the hand, anatomical position like that, and then flat board underneath. Just wrap it with a 6-inch ace wrap. Give the kid a couple of Tylenol and a lollipop, because he's under 30 years of age, so he's still a child. All right, and then get him to the hospital for higher echelons of care. No, don't worry about them going into shock. Good question, though. You see how you can rattle off things like that if it's not just having the class on it. I had a kid in Haiti when I was down there for the elections in '95. He had snuck over the wall to our safe house and tried to steal some stuff. And when he was trying to get away, he ended up falling and breaking his arm. And they brought him back to us so I could heal him, right? And I basically splinted him and everything. So I've seen a bunch of it, which is funny because I gave them money to take him to the actual hospital to get a real x-ray and have them put him in a real cast. They took that money, and I think it was like $40, because that's what it would cost at the hospital. They took that $40 and they paid the local witch doctor $5 to set it, tie it in place with some leaves on it, say a prayer, and then that then gave mom $15 to feed the rest of the family for a month. And I was like, I can't argue with that. I hope your son's arm heals messed up and it ruins his life, but I can't argue with your thought process, lady. And that's why you still live in a shack that's right out of a Gilligan's Island movie. All right. I have very little respect for Haitians. It is what it is. All right. In your face threw down 5 bones. Did you know Tom Satterley, when he was teaching counterterrorism to 18 SF? I do not recognize the name. Without further ado, at Tactical Rifleman, please expound on when and how the whole military coin thing got its start. Thanks. I believe it goes back to World War I. There were some fighter pilots in biplanes that had actually started this thing with coins, like the unit would. But the actual first U.S. military coin, it actually, and I want to say things are 5th Group, but it was actually 10th Special Forces Group coined their own coin. First military coin was 10th Special Forces Group, and it became a challenge coin. If you became a joke. Well, it from there spread out across SF, and all the MACV-SOG guys and your Vietnam era Green Berets. Those Vietnam era Green Berets, they all had a Rolex watch. They all had a pinky ring, and a Rolex watch. But they also, a lot of them weren't into the whole coin thing until later on. But once the whole coin thing started, I was in a bar outside Fort Bragg, and with a bunch of old ladies in there. They're old to me because I was like in my early 20s, and these women were like 40. So to me, they looked like, rickety old hags and stuff. All right. But they were wives of Vietnam vets, and they were Green Beret wives. And we were in this bar called Legends. And Legends was cool because if you drove a Harley Davidson and you went in the bar there, the bartender was owned by a guy in 7th Group. And if you'd had too much to drink, he would, not only would he take your keys, they would bring your Harley inside the bar and park it next to the pool table. And he'd open the cash register and he'd pay for the taxi to not just take you back to the barracks, but also to bring you back the next day to get your Harley. But these Green Beret wives, they were like, they came up to our table and they're asking us if we knew all the rules of the challenge coin, the Green Beret. They're like, we don't care what the 82nd and all those dumbass kids do. It doesn't matter what the rest of the military does with their coins. You're a Green Beret. You have to follow the rules. You have to follow the rules. And so anyways, they gave us the rules, and some of the rules, they were like messed up, and I'm looking at it, it's like, there's no way a chick would do that. And these girls are like, oh yeah, I'm the wife of an 18 Bravo. I earned my coin. And all the time I'm, yes ma'am, I have no doubt that you earned your coin. So anyways, I'm not going to get into the specific rules and stuff because, honest, half the world has challenge coins now. There are police departments, and I got a coin from Oliver North when he worked for 60 Minutes. It says 60 Minutes on it. I got a coin from Gunny Ermey, the guy from the movie Full Metal Jacket, when he worked for Glock. I saw him at SHOT Show one year, and it says Glock on one side, the other side's got his picture, and he gave it to me in a handshake. And at first I thought he was tickling my palm. It was I was not expecting to get a coin from this old guy. But anyways, there's a long history of the coins, and some units take it more serious than others. There was a time when I was in Charlie Company, 1st to the 5th, before the 5th Company got stood up, and they got so stupid with their coin checks that finally the commander had to say, no more coining people in the showers and telling them they got to buy a case of beer if they don't have their coin on them. Craziness. All right. Next one is from Colby Dixon. He threw down $5 minus shipping and handling. Are you happy to hear that Socom just adopted a Geisley 6.5 Creedmoor gas gun to replace the SR-25? Yeah, I've heard great things about it. And anything to take money away from Reed Knight, I'm all about it. All right, Matthew Brandon, Carl, how much of the military is woke? I think we can call General Miley. I call him Miley. General Miley was actually in 5th Special Forces Group. If you look at his uniform, because he doesn't ever take it off, he's got his Special Forces tab on there. He was in 5th Special Forces Group. He was...
apparently before he became a shitbag.
Before he became a dickhead. Here's the deal, guys. Talking to all the Green Berets and stuff, as soon as you mention, hey man, I heard you had to sit through like 5 hours of the Army's new transgender program. How was that? And they just hang their heads. They just hang their heads because they're embarrassed by it. You understand, there's still a lot of war fighters in the military. There are. The problem, though, is, and it's your officers. Your officers want it. They want to make general. They do. And my whole thing is, and then in turn, you've got sergeant majors that, just don't want to get in trouble because they've got 2 years left till they retire. So they do whatever the colonel or the general says. But these senior ranking officers refuse to stand up to the politicians, and it's because they're politically connected. All right, look at Miley.
Anything over lieutenant colonel, you're a politician.
And I have met good generals. I have, but they are few and far between. But they also have warfighter background.
Yeah.
So
like Grange. Grange is awesome.
Yeah. Mad Dog Maddox. I know certain people hate him, but I don't have any problems with him. He was a good Marine general in Fallujah. But my whole thing, and if you're a colonel or a general and you're watching my live stream right now, or somebody shares it with you tomorrow, number one, let's say you're a major or you're a colonel or you're a general, I'm calling you a punk to your face. Because, no, here's the deal. You're scared to stand up to your commander who's scared to stand up to his commander, and you're scared to do the right thing. And I challenge you with the question, is it really that bad to retire as a major? Is it really that bad to retire as a colonel? You want to make full bird colonel, so you get an extra $1,500 a month for the rest of your life. But you understand by you being scared to stand up and do what's right for your troops below you, because you understand they can't stand up to that general. It's your job to do it. Because you won't stand up to them because you want to make that next rank, you're screwing everybody below you. And it's not just them that suffer, it's the entire force that does. So, you people have heard me say it, your job as a leader is, number one, accomplish the mission. All right, and that mission is not to make politicians happy, by the way. Accomplish the mission, number one. Number two is care and welfare of the troops below you. That is it. That's your sole job. Your job is not to make sure haircuts are correct. Your job is not to make sure that the grass is mowed. Your job is accomplish the mission, care and welfare of the troops. And if you won't fall on your sword to protect the troops, because they can't do it, all right, then I want to invite you to suck a dick, because you're worthless. And unfortunately, those officers that like to suck a dick are the ones that are staying in right now, and they're the ones that are getting promoted because of the politicians.
Because they are what's known as a yes man.
And that's tragic. The military goes through this every so often, guys. Right after Desert Storm, Clinton drew down the military. Right after Vietnam, the politicians drew down the military. It happened right after World War II. It happened right after World War I. Every real war, we take a shot to the face. The enemy pounds us right away, and then the gloves come off, and the actual war fighters step up to the plate. And you'll notice these little sissy yes men, they fade away because they don't want to have anything to do with getting punched in the face. They don't. They go away. That's just the truth. So,
by the way,
don't get hung up on the Rainbow Coalition taking over the Pentagon. Please don't lose faith in the command, okay? Because I already have. But understand all the troops underneath. You do not, and I went and checked, you don't have to be homosexual to join the military. You don't. No, I'm serious. You don't have to be. You don't. You're allowed to be a freedom-loving redneck from agricultural America, because the reality is those are the only ones that really want to fight. You notice it's nobody from the inner city. There's no libtards that are like, man, I want to go to Ranger School and I want to go get my blast on. No, they want to.
Tell you what, funny thing, connecting the general thing with the coin thing that we talked about before. I had no, we don't do that kind of shit in Israel, but the first coin I ever got was from a general, an American general.
Me too.
And it was a 2-star.
Okay.
And we did a little hostage rescue demo for him in the unit on some breaching capabilities. And I was the breacher for that little run. That shoot house on our base, our previous base, because we moved, but the shoot house on our base had a glass ceiling in this one section.
Yeah.
So instead of a catwalk, the entire ceiling was this bulletproof glass.
Okay.
And it was a 3-story deal.
They don't trust you guys to not shoot through the ceiling and have ADs and stuff. I understand, right? I've worked with Israelis.
You have. Well, yeah, you literally, the entire thing is glass, so you can walk around everywhere.
I wish we had budgets like that. I've seen shoot houses.
There's only one like that in Israel. It's on our base. Whatever. Anyway, so we get done. The whole team's standing outside afterwards, and he's walking around, shaking everybody's hand. And he goes, "Who's the breacher here? Who's the breacher?" Oh, me, sir. So I go to shake his hand. He says, "Oh, well, that's good. They should call you Rambo. They should call you Rambo." And I'm like,
"What's
sir,
in your hand?
You got something in your hand." He goes, "Yeah, flip your hand over this way, dumbass."
Yeah.
So I do that, and I look, and it's a coin like this big, and I was like, "Holy shit! Wow, that's cool." I had no idea what it was, but it was like commandant of the blah 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 whatever. Anyway, that was the
up at 5th Group headquarters, because the colonel had all his coins set out and stuff. There's one in the it's a coin. It's a coin. This son of a gun's big as a chocolate chip cookie, and it was from Dick Cheney. From Dick Cheney. I'm like, compensating for something?
Yeah, of course Dick's got to have the big coin.
Yeah, you compensating for something? I don't know, but that was the biggest coin I've ever seen. All right, guys. That is some good beer. You guys notice I'm not doing coffee tonight because I've got to get up early because we need the lighting correct. We are going to film Emery probing for anti-tank mines.
With a knife. It's about the knife, so I guess it's
a breacher knife. But yeah, so what have we done? We have buried anti-tank and anti-personnel mines on my property. Now, full disclosure for my ATF libtards that are here. You understand these are not live. These are And you got to tell them because you understand
They would
the
believe that
Google
shit,
moderators and the ATF guys that are stuck watching live streams.
They would believe that shit.
Yes, guys, I do not have any live anti-tank mines on the hill. I do not. There are no live anti-tank mines. So we have buried training mines on the hill. Inert, like non-functional. Isn't it sad that we have to tell people this? You understand, these live streams have the disclaimer that this is for entertainment purposes only, all right? So no matter what explosives recipe Jerry J puts in the chat room, you understand, do not be mixing that stuff together because all you're going to get is a hash brown casserole.
And a really expensive
Matthew
remodel.
Brandon, Carl Kama. Oh, we already did that one. Okay. Colby Dixon. Why do crypt companies do sticky wear black? Why do crypt companies do sticky wear black gear? All of the pictures I see, they are black pouches or black shirts, etc.
No, that was back in the day.
They mix it with multicam a lot.
That was back in the day.
Back in the day,
Black was cool.
All right, now, some of the crypt company stuff right now, you'll see them running black gear. Hear me out. But that's because the gear that they're being provided, it is Chembio gear, and that's the only color that it's available in. A lot of the new stuff, right? You understand their current mission is what's called hard target defeat, and we're not going to talk about it right here. Next one's In Your Face, threw down 5 bones.
All right.
Carl, did you get down at JSS Solder City wall build sniper death shoot in 08-09? I know it made the movie American Sniper with Chris Kyle. I was there in 08-09. We didn't have any problems with Solder City. The wall was already there. I would hear the conventional units complaining about stuff, but there was never anything that we could launch the Iraqi counter-terrorist force on. So you understand, guys, by 2008, 2009, 2010, I was already a company sergeant major and had hung up my SR-25, which is, I did not want to give it away, but I got promoted to a desk. That's why I got out, guys. Benjamin Weiss. Hey, Carl, where did you get the skull for your beret? Ooh.
Oh, the one out here?
All right, I collect skulls. Don't judge me. You guys, a lot of you guys collect stamps and coins. I collect human skulls. So, no, I have gotten skulls from everywhere. I have never, and guys, please don't, I do not condone the desecration of bodies in a combat zone. Not at all. Please, not at all. One of the first skulls I got was actually in Haiti. And you'd be driving around on the roads, and the tap-taps, that's a dump truck with 500 people in the back of it. When they want to get off, they tap on the roof. It's called a tap-tap. But you'd be riding around, and you'd come up, and there'd be the little, like above-ground grave, the little mausoleum there, and you're like, what's that? And you had my little interpreter there, because I didn't speak French, I spoke Egyptian. And he's like, that's a grave. And I'm like, why are there like 10 skulls on top of it? And his answer was, because that is a family grave. What I mean by that is when grandpa dies, you hold a big funeral, you put grandpa into the grave. Now, 10 years later, when dad dies, you open the grave up because it's concrete. Understand, the sun beating down on it all day long. It roasts everything in it. You pull, because by now grandpa's gone, you pull all the bones out, you throw the bones into the jungle, and you just sit the skull on top of the grave. And so anyways, I'm like, so how about if dad gets hit by a tap-tap, 2 weeks after grandpa's funeral? And he didn't miss a beat. He's like, you still take grandpa's body out of it. You cut the head off. You put the head on top of the grave with the rest of the skulls. you throw the rest of the body in the jungle, and then you put Dad in the grave. I'm like, well, there's the meat, and they're like, no, the insects will clean off the skull in 1 or 2 days, is what he said. And I thought about it. I was like, I got to check that out. I got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, I'm holding these things up, and I was like, that's a good looking skull. I mean, I know. So anyways, and you can get skulls off the internet. They're medical training aids. I was a SF medic. So in my defense...
So that's your excuse.
Yeah, for training. I like out on the range, I will talk about the T-box.
Every time.
Every class.
Every time.
Pistol carbine class, I talk about the zero reflex T-box, where you will shoot the brainstem. And the cool part about the human skull, because God loves snipers, he does. God loves me, guys. There's just enough paper-thin bone in the back of the eye sockets that if you hit anywhere in the eyes or the nasal cavity, right, the nasal opening, it funnels those bullet and bone shards straight into...
From the front,
straight into that walnut-sized brainstem. And it is a light switch. You will turn a dude off. It's called the FBI Zero Reflex Kill Shot. Their snipers are required to test on it. If you can download off the internet the FBI qual targets for their snipers. My latest skull, I want to say it's 2 years old now. I got an infant that the fontanelles still aren't closed up in the top. It's kind of cool. But yeah, one of my skulls sits in the man room, and I sit my green beret on it, and the reason that is the only skull that I keep out there, and the reason for that is because when I was company sergeant major, that skull would sit on my desk, and the cover comes off, the top of the skull comes off, and I would keep candy in it, little Hershey's Kisses, and when those were gone, I filled them with the little Snickers, Milky Ways, and
little bite size.
Yeah, little bite size. And so Colonel Woodward, his wife was the head of the family readiness group. She thought she wore her husband's rank, and the FRG lady, I don't even remember her name. Anyways, she's like. Sergeant Major, I'm just letting you know that Colonel Woodward's wife just yelled at me, and she's heading towards your office. And, okay, so Colonel Woodward's, remember, she thinks she wears her husband's rank. So anyways, I look out my window, and no joke, right there. Y'all seen the Harry Potter movie where they got the old lady with the pink dress on, and she's like a total bitch? That's Colonel Woodward's wife, right? So she's with her purse, and she walks in, and I'm like, oh shit, she get ready to come in.
Was she two-handing the purse?
I think so.
Oh,
so
man.
Anyway, she comes in, and she's like, Sergeant Major, I'd like to talk to you for a second. And I'm like, sure, man, come sit down. She came and sat down, and I lifted the cover off the skull, and I said, candy? And she looked down at the skull. She looked up at me. She looked down at the skull. She looked up at me. She picked up her purse, got up, and walked out. And
that's a win.
About 20 minutes later, Colonel Woodward calls me, and Sergeant Major Erickson, did you serve candy to my wife out of a human skull? As a matter of fact, sir, the candy dish on my desk happens to be a human skull. I was just being polite to her, asking her, offering her a piece of candy at my desk. I offer them to everybody that comes in, which is why it's on my desk. And he hung up on me. So, Colonel Woodward, if you're watching, I love you. You know I love you. And rewind that part. Let your wife hear that. Let me hear how I talk about her. Let her hear that, because Colonel Woodward knows. He knows his wife. He does. I won't say, Colonel, it's safe. I will not tell the internet how you talked about your wife behind closed doors. I will not do that. I will not do that. All right. Colonel Woodward's good people, by the way.
As long as his wife's not listening, I think we're okay.
No, won't do it, because somebody will play this shit back. All right. Wow, guys, we're falling way behind.
Yeah, I can't follow this.
Sorry, guys. Annalise and Kyle Beeler threw down $10. How are y'all doing? You guys know Annalise as Kentucky Fried Korean. We love them. They are the cutest couple. We've been thinking about getting a freeze dryer for long-term storage and camping prep. I know Carl has one. What brand do you recommend?
We have one too. Yes,
I hear there's a couple other brands now. Some even allow you to do layaway installments. At the time I bought mine, there was only one real brand, and that was Harvest Right. That's the brand I have. I think that's the kind you guys have.
Yeah, we have the same one. Yeah.
One thing I will say is you get the small, it does 3 trays. You do the medium, it does 4 trays. You do the large, it takes 5 trays. Okay, I went with the 5, and I like that it does 5 trays. The only drawback of it is you have to have a dedicated 20 amp circuit, which takes a weird plug. Now for me it was no big deal because I already had a 20 amp circuit that had nothing else on it, and it just meant take that one box out of the wall and put the other box in that has the correct plug. But yeah, do your homework.
Yeah, but it's
Kyle,
a 220. I think ours is a 110, and I'm pretty sure that's why Janelle got it. And it's been working awesome. There's a couple of maintenance things you got to kind of figure out on them, but that has nothing to do with the type of electricity.
Annalise, Kyle, honestly, you guys live closer to Emery and Janelle, so I almost guarantee they'd love to have you actually come and put your hands on it.
Yeah, for sure.
And
talk to me later.
Yeah, and my reason for getting it besides preparedness is we're going to do a series of videos on it. But you guys ever notice my videos, I bring in subject matter experts. If I'm teaching a class, I bring in the subject matter expert so I can teach a lot of these classes. And a lot of times I'll be the assistant instructor, but a lot of times I want to bring in the subject matter expert. So what I hate is somebody will just buy something and then do a video review on that like they're a subject matter expert. So so the videos are coming because I know a lot of people have been asking for videos on it. I got that. Me and the wife have done, I don't know how many, hundreds of bags of just apples and pears and peaches from the fruit tree orchard. We've done meatballs. We've done fajita chicken. We've done chicken's eggs. My wife's got another 4 dozen.
Klondike bars.
If you do ice cream, you can get the astronaut ice cream that they sell in Walmart camping section. That's basically what you're making.
Yep.
It's not very good. You can't reconstitute it.
No, but you know what? You can have your ice cream bar in the jungle. So there.
There's always that. All right.
By the way, here's the deal. Everybody talks about like survival food this, survival food that. Don't take canned shit. Freeze dry your own food. It's lighter. It's your food that you made. That's why I think this thing's genius. I love it. Now, they're expensive.
That said, you guys know I'm a big fan of Nutrient Survival. Use TR10, saves you 10%. But my whole reason for working with them was so that I could get that discount, because I honestly order a lot of their stuff. But there's some stuff that they don't have that I actually go to other companies for. And what I'm talking about, the number 10 cans, look at things like Emery and Janelle have chickens. I don't have chickens. So we freeze dry eggs when we can buy them on sale. But
yeah, you got 4 dozen this morning.
Yeah, Emery just bought me 4 dozen. We can do 5 dozen eggs at a time in our Harvest Right freeze dryer. Buying that number 10 can off of the internet is expensive because eggs are expensive right now. But
it's less expensive than buying the machine.
Yes. Yeah, but there's so off the internet we buy things that we can't freeze dry or can ourselves. All right, I don't know if that makes any sense for you. Every time I put my phone down, guys, it jumps on me. I apologize. Without further ado, is back. How's the knee doing? I appreciate you asking. The knee no longer hurts. It's just stiff. I do not have my range of motion. For my patrons that you watched today's quick shooting tip video, you'll notice I'm shooting from the kneeling position but I'm kneeling on my right knee. I had left knee surgery, so it feels weird kneeling on my left knee because it's there's no feeling in the skin, so you're feeling pressure deeper, and it's just weird. Me and the wife, we actually went bike riding. I pulled my mountain bike out. We only did flat ground. We've been doing it, but we did it down in Gulf Shores a few times. We just did it the other day, and my knee did not swell as bad this last time I did it. We're going to go bike riding again tomorrow morning. Hopefully it starts swelling. So I'm recovering, guys. I am. It's just slow. The doctor said it was going to be, they said it was going to be it's going to be a year recovery, and I
could have been sooner. I'm just saying it could have been sooner.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. And your face threw down $2. Amen on officers. Well said. And guys, you guys know I love officers. I have a lot of friends, Green Berets that were officers. A lot of friends like Randy Worth that was a warrant officer.
He's a warrant.
I'm not bashing officers. You have to have officers in the military. But when I start talking about leaders, that's the non-commissioned officers also. I got guys that are worried about making sergeant major, and so they would just trample their troops underneath them because they wanted to make rank, and I disagree with that. My only reason for taking the rank sergeant major was not to be a command sergeant major. It was basically because my wife reminded me that retirement pay is forever, and E9 pay is a lot more than E8 pay, but also I had a few great Green Beret company sergeant majors that took great care of us, the Green Berets on the A teams. I had a couple sergeant majors that didn't, and they were not well liked, but I had a couple that would fall on their sword and take ass chewings to protect us. And I thought about it, and I was like, this is an opportunity, because they took a lot of ass chewings for Sergeant Erickson, a lot of ass chewings for Sergeant Erickson, in combat zones, out of combat zones. So I was like, all right, I will do this just for a little bit, and I will protect the troops underneath me. So it doesn't matter if you're a non-commissioned officer, warrant officer, or a actual commissioned officer. If you are a leader, accomplish the mission, care and welfare of the troops. That is your sole job, guys. I hate to say that. People forget. Just had another question come in. All right. I'm trying to get caught up, Emery. I am. Jesse Spittler. Carl, what traits and skills make for a great 18 Alpha? What advice would you give to a new captain on an A-team? Also, hello, Emery. Always glad to see you on the live stream.
Thank you, brother.
A new captain, understand, as far as traits, one, that they're willing to listen, because a captain on an A-team really doesn't do very much. His job is to get blamed for everything that the team does wrong. All right? But you got to understand, a captain has only been in the Army for a very few number of years, where your master sergeant has been in the Army for 20 years. Your warrant officer has been in the Army for 20 years. Oh, there are no E5 slots on an A-team. There are no E4, E3, E2, E1 slots. Your lowest position, rank-wise, on a Special Forces A-team is a staff sergeant. Even your newest guy is a staff sergeant and then a sergeant first class. So there's a lot of experience. So if you're a new captain, I'm not saying let them run ragged and do things that are illegal. Not at all. Not at all. But listen and take the advice of your warrant officer and your 18 Zulu, your master sergeant. The real jobs of captains in special ops are, because you're only going to be on an A-team 2-3 years tops. Your whole time going special forces as an officer, you will only be on an A-team 3 years tops. Once you leave an A-team, you're never going back to an A-team. All right? You are going to go staff, and then as a major, you're going to get a special forces company. You're still at the B team now. You've got 6 A teams underneath you. Then you go back staff. You go war college, and then you come back as a light colonel with a battalion with companies underneath you. But you understand. So if you're wanting to have fun on an A team, resign your commission and go be a sergeant. No, seriously, just accept the fact you've got 3 years. Enjoy it. Have fun on an A team. Have fun on an A team. Get into as many gunfights as you can. Yeah. I got a bug that's buzzing my head. Pete's back with another 10 Hong Kong dollars. Carl, you got fan fiction stories based on your past. No, honestly, guys, here's the deal. We've been doing this 5 years now. 5 years. We've only been doing live streams since the start of the pandemic.
COVID. Yeah.
Start of COVID. And before I started doing this, before I retired, you understand, we did 0 social media. We did not post anything. We had 0 Facebook accounts, 0 anything. We did not, nobody knew who I was. And I was completely good with that. My reason for starting a YouTube channel was to help promote Come Train With Us. And then the YouTube channel, I realized there's a lot of people that can't come do classes. And if I really want to make the world a better place, my best way to do that is by sharing a lot of this information for free on the internet. You start sharing information, and there's a lot of people out there that disagree with what we say because they were showed a different way to do things. So, well, that's not how we do it, so you're wrong. So what we do, if you ever take one of our classes, we're very big on expanding on the why. Why is this important? Why do we do this way? Why do we do this that way? And when we expand on the why, a lot of times to get the point across, we share little vignettes or little short stories of our personal experiences. Fast forward 5 years now, you guys know more about me than my parents do. You know more about me than all the 5th Special Forces Group guys put together, because we would never share stories with each other. It's like, hey man, he got a Bronze Star. What did he get a Bronze Star for? I got no idea. Yeah. Hey man, he got a Silver Star. What did he get a Silver Star for? I got no idea. I heard he was on a Humvee. All right, okay. All right. So my point for saying that is my wife hates, she cannot stand how much I have shared my life with you guys, because my wife was the wife of a Green Beret, a quiet professional. My wife is very private with her family and everything, and now you guys know all about the hill. You know all about my fruit trees and my shooting range and my Harvest Right freeze dryer, and you see, I wish I could do this without sharing with you guys, but if I'm going to make the world a better place, I have made the conscious decision that I'm willing to share certain things with you. And unfortunately, it does. My family suffers.
Before you go on, I got a couple things that I just saw zoom by here. One, Karen, thank you. And you're awesome, and thanks for caring about dipshit over there. And Hal, what's up, brother? That was Hal.
Okay, it's all good.
My buddy Hal.
Wow.
Oh, since we're at it, I want to publicly say hi to Mama. Not my mama, but you know who I'm talking about. Because I told her I would try to keep an eye out for her while her buddy's overseas. So, hope you're watching. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I hope you're feeling better, man. How's that foot?
How is that foot?
Well, we're not going to tell the internet about her.
But we say it in classes. Isn't that enough? We say it to everybody in classes.
We do say if you No, we'll be nice. Love you, ma'am. You know we love you. Chad's awesome. Say hi to Little Man for us.
Yep.
Tommy Guns threw down $9.99. Carl, you are so right about those effing politicians. Retired Navy Master Chief. Amen, Tommy. Thank you for your service, brother. Pete's back again with 10 more Hong Kong dollars. Carl, how your hair is still black with limited gray? I used to have no gray at all because in combat, I knew, and this might sound weird.
Dirt sticks to
No. I had zero stress in combat because my wife was home here with my wife's family around her. So if I knew if anything ever happened to me, if I got shot, blown up, killed, whatever, I knew my father-in-law, my brother-in-law would help my wife take care of my kids. My family was going to be okay. And I know that sounds trivial, but I've watched a lot of guys overseas worry, and they end up losing the edge because, they have problems with their family back home, or they're worried, what's going to happen if something happens to me. They lose the edge. And, my father-in-law went gray at an early age. I'm just now starting to get the gray. I didn't have it while I was in combat. Bullets, rockets, tracers. I had a 12-7 tracer pass in front of me. I started to turn. I had another 12-7 tracer pass in front of me. I turned a little bit more. The third tracer passed behind me. Understand, between every two tracers are 4 other bullets. In front of me, behind me. Between the one in front of me and the back were 4 other bullets. And I just kind of cringed and went, when I get home, I need to spoil myself a little bit more. I didn't stress over it. It was over with that quick. Da 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 da. It was done. I didn't even have time to jump on the ground. They were done. They had no idea I was there. They were just slinging lead. I didn't worry about that stuff. Why am I getting gray now? You guys, the frickin' web, and that frickin' chat room over there. You guys have given me gray hair. I blame you. I do. It's okay. I don't mind it.
I noticed some gray hairs, and when I noticed them right here, it was that night.
You spilt the milk down the front of your face. Right?
No, it was that night that idiot had a heart attack in my truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I was doing a little video for the patrons, just being like, hey, here's what's going on.
Oh, man.
And I'm looking into the phone, and I'm like, what? And it was like...
It don't take much. It don't. Joe S., Carl and Emery, what are your thoughts on 2-stage triggers for a general purpose rifle?
Good question. Okay.
I used to run a 2-stage trigger in my SR-25, and you forget it's even there. You literally forget it's even there. One thing I'll tell you guys, and I'm trying to get one for a video. And it is called an electric trigger. And hear me out. The module is in the pistol grip. And the selector lever, the first position, it is a manual hammer, manual trigger. It's your regular 3 to 5 pound manual trigger. Now, when you go all the way over to full auto, all right, it would allow you to do the binary pull, release, you fire 2 bullets. All right, that's not what I liked about it, because you could throw the switch the other way, and when it's 2 clicks forward, it's not binary, but instead it goes down to like a half-pound trigger. Here's the advantage of this. Let's say you have a recce rifle with a low-power variable optic on it. You got it on 1 power, selector lever, manual trigger. All right, you bring it up, pop, 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 pop. Right, you're doing CQB. You've got a good, safe combat trigger, 3 to 5 pounds. Cool. Now you're moving across the battlefield, but now the bad guy is 350 meters away. Now you've got dope on your gun because you came and did our Carbine Zero Mastery class, so you've got data out to 400 meters, right? Even 5.56. You crank that magnification up to 8x. You've got that that Griffin reticle. Your good, stable position. Instead, right? He warrants deadly force. Instead of just going 1 click, and now you're at a 3.5 pound trigger, because you don't want to run a competition trigger in a combat gun. You don't want to do that. So do you want to put a combat trigger for a 400 meter shot or 350 meter shot? By having the ability to throw it that second click, and now it's not two stage, but it is a different stage, but it still has a wall. And I just shot one the other day, played with it, dry fired a bunch of it, and I was like, you and me, we need to talk because I need to do a video on this. And they're like, Roger that, we'll get you one. So as far as two-stage triggers, I know what you're talking about. I used to have one in my SR-25. I don't have a single gun right now, and that includes my 338 Lapua, that includes my 50, that includes my 6mm Creedmoors, my 6.5 Creedmoors, my 308s. I do not have a single gun that has a two-stage trigger in it.
Well, let me add to that a little bit, right? Because the question specifically was about a general purpose rifle. So there's nothing wrong with a two-stage trigger on there. Here's the problem. The problem is that most of the two-stage triggers they make for rifles are two-stage because they're supremely light. And that's not what you want in a combat gun. We're not talking a sniper rifle, right? There's nothing wrong with the single-stage mil-spec triggers if it's a good mil-spec trigger like we put in the door kicker. If you do, for whatever reason, prefer or want to try a two-stage trigger in your rifle, I recommend that you keep it at a reasonable weight. So don't go down to one of those 2-pound triggers. It's just dangerous for an actual combat
guns need to
gun.
have weight. They need to have weight to them, and
Yeah.
that's why that electric one I was talking about, it's not light till you're 2 clicks forward. Literally, you've got to consciously go over to it. Philip Wilson threw down 10 bones. Please recommend a pistol caliber carbine solution, platform, optic, front grip, sling, magazines, etc. I like the SIG MPX. It's 9mm. You can get 10mm. But the one I love and my daughter loves is the CMMG Banshee. Now, the company that actually makes the conversion magazines for the lowers of the Banshees, if you want to put it on your one registered short barrel rifle lower, I can't not remember the name of them right now, but they actually sent me an email. There's a company that makes a roller delay blowback system similar to the MP5, but that you can put it in a CMMG. You can put it into just about any AR. And I'll tell you what. Ask me again about it next week, and I'm getting one to do a review on to see if it's reliable. But those of you that have shot 9mm pistol caliber carbines, you'll see that they kick as much as a 5.56 gun does, and that's because your 5.56 gun has that gas impingement system that the bolt carrier is moving before it unlocks the bolt.
There's a new really interesting PCC coming out that we are going to get as soon as they're ready.
They're not ready yet?
Nope. My good friend Mikey Hartman.
I thought that's where you're going with
my
that.
good friend Mikey Hartman, who, by the way, what's up, brother? So he runs CAA. That makes the MCK, the micro conversion kit that you can throw your pistol into, and it kind of turns it into like a little carbine. Those things are awesome. And when the ATF finally goes away with this whole pistol brace thing, hopefully we can all carry those again. But they are coming out with an actual pistol caliber carbine, not a conversion kit. And those are going to be badass, I guarantee it. And we're going to get some to test, and then we'll do a video and let you know what we think. But that's a really good option. It's going to be.
I don't care which pistol caliber carbine you go with, but the only reason to go with pistol caliber carbine is because you want to carry the same magazines as you do in your sidearm. So
and his
that
runs
should
block
be
mags,
that should be what decides for you.
Yep.
If you run a CZ, you need a pistol caliber carbine that takes CZ mags. I've got 3 different pistol caliber carbines. My Banshee, and I've got a couple Strybogs that run Glock mags. You guys see it up top here, guys. It is the Henry Homesteader up top. That is a 9mm pistol caliber carbine. Now, see, it's got a little magazine in it right now, and it looks like a wood stock, right? Because it is a wood stock. It is the anti-AR. It's designed so you can have it when everybody's saying ARs are bad, you're a bad person. It comes with a conversion kit, so it'll take Glock mags. So it's a good truck gun, especially if you live in areas that are anti-assault rifle, because it looks like a farmer's rifle. It does. It does not look like a assault rifle.
By the way, hey Philip, you may want to try do you have an MCK? Because that, now that I'm thinking about it, that's a really good low cost. I mean, they're like, what are they, $375 or $295 or somewhere in that kind of region, and then you throw a Glock in there, or you can order it for whatever gun you got, and then if you have two of those guns, you can have one in the holster and one as a PCC that you can mount optics to and all that. I have a couple of those. Awesome.
All right. Big Fuzzy asks, Susan, could you ask him to explain warrant officer, where warrant officers fit in among enlisted and other officers? Think World War II, right? Obviously, you want your fighter pilots to be officers, okay? But when you're running out of pilots, same thing with helicopters, Vietnam War, they would allow enlisted to volunteer to be pilots. Now, they got to be officers because they're in charge of that aircraft. So basically, when they graduate, they're warrant officers. A warrant officer, in general, not all the time. You can come in straight as a warrant officer, but the majority, they start off as enlisted guys, and they will go to the warrant officer course, and they graduate and become a warrant officer. Can you go from being a sergeant to being a commissioned officer? Yes, you can. You can go be a private and go on to be a officer. A lot of times guys will get out, they'll go get a college degree, and then they'll come back in OCS, and they'll come back in as lieutenant. But if you already have a college degree, you can put in the paperwork to go straight to the officer candidate school. But you got to be a college grad, and so in other words, you could be a private or a sergeant, whatever. It's called green to gold, and you can go become a officer, a young lieutenant. That's what you can do. But the problem with being an officer is you don't get to choose where they're going to put you, and a lot of times it goes needs of the Army. And you thought you were going to a Ranger battalion to be an infantryman, but instead you wind up being a supply sergeant somewhere. Warrant officers, you basically get to pick what job you're going to go to. Todd Simmons, for example, was the 5th Special Forces Group motor officer. He was a warrant officer, and his whole career he lived and breathed hot rods and Humvees. Still does. And matter of fact, he's in Poland right now running all the logistics for all that stuff. It's not classified. He don't give a shit.
He's,
anyways, I don't give a shit. All right. Next one goes to Enemy. Carl, what's the biggest ass tune you got for standing up for someone? Wow. Wow. That was the time they wanted me to fry one of my team sergeants, and I hung up on the command sergeant major, and I said, "Don't worry, he'll call back," and he did. And then, anyways, it got so bad he actually got on a helicopter to fly down to chew my ass, and I don't know what would be the worst one, because here's the deal: I got plenty of ghetto booty. I got a big fat ass, and I can take an ass chewing, because what's the worst thing that could happen? You understand?
Go back to an 18.
You bust me from E9 to E8. I get to go back to an A team. There's no downside here. My wife takes the pay cut, not me.
I physically flipped a desk at a MP investigator.
Why would you do that, dude?
Because they were trying to pin some bullshit on my team leader, my officer, and they were just trying to pin shit on him, and he was a great dude, and the guy was trying to entrap me into essentially saying that my officer was guilty of something that he had nothing to do with.
This next
I got
one's for you.
chewed out for that, but
Alton McCurson. Hi, Emery. What unit were you in the IDF? A good friend of mine was Special Operations in IDF as well, and now started Team 5 Medical Foundation.
okay, I'm not familiar with them. I was in a unit called SOEU, Special Operations Engineering Unit, which at the time consisted, well, in the beginning consisted of two sections. There was EOD, that we do EOD, the nerdy guys, and then there was us, and we did all the offensive long-range stuff. And then we started another, myself, a couple other guys, we started another section of my unit that was devoted specifically to hostage rescue breaching, and that's what I did the rest of the time. So that's kind of my deal.
Got another question here. Hi, Susan, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. He's like, I know Carl uses G9 ammo in his EDC pistol, but what does he use in his 5.56 home defense? I run frange. I run frange in my home defense guns, guys. And
Frangible.
Not all the guns in the house. Some of them have got VMAX ammo in them, which is basically frange. It's varmint projectiles that are designed to explode. And the reason
let's
why...
qualify with that with they don't explode, they break apart on impact.
They disintegrate on impact with flesh. And that particular rifle is loaded with that because it has the thermal for protecting, well, the property, but mainly my fruit tree orchard because the deer are eating all my apples right now. I don't want them, the young antlers, rubbing all the bark off of my trees. That's very bad for trees, by the way. Understand my truck guns have, all my vehicles have got bandoliers of M855A1 in it. All right, because outside of the house, I need barrier penetration. I need barrier blind ammo to get through those windshields, to get through car doors, to get through thin wall. But in my house, home defense, why would I want the ice pick guys and then tear up my brand new flat screen TV that's 10 years old? I got to get another 10 years out of that.
By the way, today we discovered a armor plate that actually stops the 855A1.
We did. It's a level 4 plate, which most level 4 plates do not stop M855A1 ammo. But this one stopped it no problem. I thought that was kind of
cool. It even stopped 308 armor piercing incendiary. That I've not seen.
We've never, even my Dayton armor plates did not, then they're $700 a piece. They did not stop 762 API. So that was amazing to see. Again, another video. I told you we've been filming all day. Random American threw down 10 bones.
What's up?
What are your thoughts on a throw lever on a low power variable optic? Range day, combat, seems like a snag point.
A throw lever, are you talking about the extended one or the one on the rail?
No, the one on the rail is a gimmick.
That's what I thought he was talking about.
There's actually like a pump thing you slide on your handguard that will work the throw lever.
Yeah.
All right. I've seen a couple videos on it. My problem with it is, one, it runs off of thin wires and it would interfere with everything else on my gun. You know, my pistol light switches.
Plus, in reality, how much are you really going back and forth immediately on an LPVO?
Greg, one thing I will say is all of my low power variable optics have got throw levers on them. Mm-hmm. All of them. My favorite ones have handles that fold down. All right. So just like you're talking about for the whole snag reason. All right. When you get to that hide site, that firing point, that deer stand, you just pop that handle up so it's there. But when you go to put the handle on, make sure you put it so it folds back towards you. So you're going through stuff, it doesn't snag. If it is sticking out, it would just fold down on the side of the gun. But yeah, I'm a big fan of throw levers. Here's why. A lot of them, and again, it varies by what brand your optic is. But I've got a Swarovski, and it's an expensive low power variable optic. It is tight. If it didn't have a throw lever on it, I mean, you'd literally have to get your whole hand on it, and it's slow. And the only thing I use that one for is 3-gun. It would not be a combat.
Yeah, I would just recommend not to get the enormous throw levers. That's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
If you got something you can put a finger on, you can move it.
All right, hey guys, we are coming up on 2 hours, and a couple of my moderators got to go. So there was a few other things I wanted to talk about, but for the most part, guys, one thing I will say, a lot of you have been asking about our training calendar to sign up for classes for 2024. I know it's hard for me to sell slots for 2024 if I don't put it up on the calendar. I got that. But we're going to be offering new classes next year. We're bringing back a couple of our older classes, CQB Home Defense. We're going to have Battle Rifle 1, where you're basically going to, instead of where 90% of your shooting is inside 25 meters doing pew-pew, closest target's going to be 25, and you're going to go out to 400, right? With that gun. Same kit, same everything else, same setup. And you don't need to buy a special gun for it. You do not need a low power variable optic.
On the contrary, run it with a red dot.
With the gun that you ran regularly. And what it's going to do is it's going to change how you shoot. High risk concealed carry. A whole bunch of good classes. We are also going to add, for my patrons that here in a couple weeks, I mentioned I'm renting a Little Bird helicopter for my patrons to shoot from. A lot of you that are not patrons have asked, hey, we want to get in on that. So I gotta work out the dates with the helicopter crew, but we are going to at least once in 2024, maybe twice, we are going to set up a platform shooting course. And over the course of that day, you will, no joke, put on a safety harness and get strapped into the doorway of a Little Bird helicopter, and you're going to go get your blast on. We're not doing no gay shit like shooting hogs. You will shoot targets for score, and you'll be awesome, or you won't. I don't know why Steve just sent that to me. Oh, he's talking about the Mark 12 SPRs were sent with a 2-stage trigger. Not as good as the AS Inc., but forced by Knight into the Mark 12 program. Yeah, we hate Reed Knight. Don't get me wrong, Knight Armament made some good stuff. They do great stuff. I love my SO25 Mark 11, but there are some really shady business practices out there that were happening during the global war on terror. All right, my other class that I have, if you don't want to sign up for Gunrunner Pistol, 21-22 October in Texas. Later on in the first week of December, we are doing high-risk travel. December is too cold to be outside on the range shooting. Let's do something indoor. Indoor, how to travel, surveillance, counter-surveillance, escapology. You're going to get put in the trunk of a car, handcuffed, blindfolded, everything. You'll no joke be out doing mounted in-vehicle surveillance, counter-surveillance ops. There's a nice final test at the end. Great course. To me, it is one of the most educational courses that we teach. There is so much information. I could not do it. I could not do it in 2 days. It is 3 days long. All right. The low light, no light shooting class, night vision class. We're going to be doing that once or twice again this year. Tactical precision rifle. Sniper rifles. It's not polite to say sniper rifle. Tactical precision rifle. I normally run the 101 course once a year. I'm trying to find a new range, so you're going to see I'm not adding that to the calendar right now. But anyways, I've got the calendar's getting populated. It will go.
We got a question on when are we going to bring back Valkyrie?
Right now, Valkyrie is on hold until I've come up with a plan that's been validated.
We were just talking about it today, but guys, it takes so much planning.
Yeah, you guys don't understand.
So much planning.
For me to keep you guys safe, it is very, very hard for me to do that. And I can't just what if it and do it on paper. Once we do the plan, we've then got to go out and test it. And just wargaming it on paper, we have found mistakes in what we wanted to do for the next one. So we're like, instead of saying, well, what could we do to fair? We're like, hey, stop, change it. Just change, come up with something different. So Valkyrie's on hold for right now, and that's why you guys should have jumped on it. I had a hard time filling the last one. I really did. I ended up having to give a slot away for free.
That's right.
Not for free, for half price. Because everybody says they want to do Operation Valkyrie, but that's like everybody says they want to come do the CQB class, or they want to come do high-risk travel, but nobody ever signs up because they're scared to get put in the trunk of a car. It's a couple minutes of your life, and nobody's shooting you, by the way. Anyways, good stuff. I want to thank my moderators for hanging out with us tonight and keeping the asylum in check. I want to thank LAS Concealment again for sponsoring tonight's live stream. Again, guys, if you're looking for that EDC holster, sincerely, if you want a good EDC holster, and my personal favorite's the Ronin 3.0. You can get it for optics cut. You can get it with the spare mag. You can get it with the light. Let them know what light, what optic, what this, what that, and it's all drop-down menus. You can check all that out at lasconcealment.com. Parting words of wisdom from Emery Morgenstern.
48.
That's the best you could come up with.
The best I could come up with.
Steve, that's why I need you back, brother. Right? He's wearing your shirt. You might as well be here.
Steve just texted me, and I was like, hey, why the hell weren't you here? And he says, wasn't sure KE was in town. Didn't get the bat signal. Really, Steve?
I'm sorry, Steve.
Really?
I thought we said last week on the live stream that we wanted to have Steve back this week.
Steve, I shot the shit out of a 6.8 today. Where were you?
Where
were you?
But I did not shoot the deputy. All right, we'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care and shoot straight.